Okay, should join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome all of you to our Board of Supervisors meeting. Chair comments. We had an executive session on June 6th to discuss personnel. The board also met in executive session before this meeting to discuss personnel and litigations. And I believe now we have State Representative Shelby Labs, who would like to do something for the township.
Doesn't sound too good. So thank you for having me tonight. On behalf of myself, Representative Monroe, and the Pennsylvania House of Representatives, I wanted to present New Britain Township with this citation to honor and recognize the 300th anniversary of the township. It's been a privilege to represent New Britain Township in Harrisburg, and I'm honored to be here tonight to present this to you.
You want to get a picture?
Of course. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. Makes you a good one.
Yes. Yes.
I am an in-house photographer and AV staff. I want to get the table out of there, so and one more. Thank you, that's wonderful.
Oh, we got another.
Tell me. Bill, do you want to just get the picture and then we'll let him read it?
Wonderful. Thank you. Probably this year, in case anyone wants to take a look at it. Hardworking people on the 300.
Yeah.
Shelby.
Shelby already.
Shelby.
did hers, so.
You're next.
No.
You're good, Commissioner.
Well, on behalf of the timing is probably just right. On behalf of the three county commissioners, myself, Commissioner Segley, Mr. Giralmo, wanted to present you with this proclamation. I know being an elected official, I know you love wearing S's. I will certainly talk about the history of the Britain Town, early settlement through things in the Revolution and all the way up really, to the area around Lake Galena, where that's New Galena, where that's now Lake Galena. But I'll just skip to the main one here. So whereas on the 14th of June, 2023, New Britain Township officially recognized its 300th anniversary. Now, therefore, do we, Bucks County Board of Commissioners, hereby proclaim June 14th, 2023, as New Britain Day throughout the County of Bucks. In doing so, we congratulate New Britain Township on this momentous occasion and encourage all Bucks Countyans to join in celebrating the township's rich history and its contributions to the story of Bucks County. So thank you for what you're doing, former township supervisor. Appreciate all the work you put in, and everything you're doing here for the residents of this community live the best lives they can. Your residents, your constituents are our constituents, obviously. So, certainly anything you need from us, let us know. Okay, but congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Labs.
Thank you. Okay, getting down to our action items. Motion to consider the meeting minutes of the Board of Supervisors meetings.
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for May 15th and June 5th.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Are there any amendments or adjustments necessary in the minutes? All in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Motion carries. Next item would be consider the schedule of bills. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do you approve?
I make that motion to approve. I'm sorry.
That would be the bills list dated June 15th in the amount of $560,582.40. So we have a motion and a second.
I'll second.
Any further questions? All in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next item is a motion to consider the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion to approve the consent agenda dated June 19th.
Is there a second?
Second. Oh, sorry.
Any questions? All in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
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 Next item would be consider resolution 2023-12, record dissolution number 2. Is there a motion? Is
Make a motion to approve that
there a second?
resolution.
Second.
Any further discussion on that?
Okay, is there anything?
No, I just let the board know, we started doing some housekeeping last month of our remote storage out of Public Works. I anticipate to see a few more of these in the coming months. We're gonna try and schedule days to go out there and clean that out. These are all financial records that go from 2012 and sooner that were all marked to destroy in this year, so. We went through and made sure and confirmed with our solicitor to make sure we weren't getting rid of anything we shouldn't.
Any other questions? All in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next item would be consider resolution 2023-13, America 250 PA.
I'd like to make that motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion on the motion?
We heard about this at PSATs at our conference in April last year and this year, and I thought since we are celebrating our 300th anniversary, America will be celebrating their 250th anniversary in 2026, and I think we should be out there in support. So there's quite a few municipalities. Our county has already signed their resolution to support the America 250. So
I concur. Any other discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consider resolution 2023-14, 120 Liberty Lane conditional use dedication. Motion.
I will make a motion to approve resolution 2023-14. As presented in the packet.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, just for purposes of the record of this motion, a public hearing was held concerning the application for conditional use filed by Hurting Butterflies LP on April the 17th, 2023. The board considered a number of conditions which have been properly adopted and published in the adjudication, which is part of the board's packet, which you're now considering.
Any other questions? All in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consider resolution 2023-15, 137 South Limestone Pike, preliminary / final. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve that resolution.
For a second.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
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 Carries. Consider the sale of a 2015 Dodge Charger. Yay.
I'll make that motion to approve the sale.
Is there a second?
A second.
I'm amazed, chief.
Cars are expensive these days.
True. So your motion is second to approve the sale of this Dodge Charger. All in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
But on the flip side,
One goes, we have to replace it.
motion to consider the purchase of a new police vehicle.
I'll make that motion to approve the purchase.
For a second,
Second,
any discussion?
Is this our hybrid?
No, the hybrid is on its way.
Okay, this is the
This will be
second,
yes,
okay,
second one.
it's what we could get.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
I,
aye,
Motion to consider the parade marshal and junior parade marshal for the Prime Municipal July 4th parade.
I approve the motion.
For a second,
second.
any discussion?
You want to read off who they are?
No,
Hmm?
I said, do we want to read off who they are?
We can.
like this vice chair.
For parade marshal, the recommendation is Lisa Mayer in honor of her father, Buddy Mayer. As nominated by staff and Marco Testanowski, and junior parade marshal would be Andrew Shellhammer as nominated by Nancy Jones.
Any questions on those?
No.
Those in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye. And fun stuff.
I went to school with her.
Consider the cancellation of the July 3rd Board of Supervisors workshop meeting. Is there a motion,
I motion to approve that.
for a second.
Second,
Any discussion?
I think we'll have enough to do with the parade the next day.
I would concur with that statement. All those in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
I,
Nothing's ever easy. Consider the CHOP waiver request from chapter 10, section 105.
I make a motion to approve that with the conditions that were discussed this evening. With our professionals.
So that'll be the, whatever the conditions are, they're prepared by the township solicitor and the engineer.
Get a second, do a second for the motion, then I'll explain as part of your discussion exactly what we're talking
Okay, do I have a second?
second,
about. By way of discussion, Mr. Chair, the township's ordinance allows the township to enforce the noise ordinance upon deciding or essentially evaluating that there has in fact been a violation, but it's silent on how we are to do that. It is the recommendation of the township professionals and staff that as a condition of this approval, the board set an escrow in the amount of $10,000 to be posted by the applicant. That way, if there are any complaints for any residents near the project from either side, the plan would be that those residents could notify the township of the issue, either a sound issue or a light issue. Both are governed under the statute, under the ordinance. At that time, the township could contact the applicant and request that within 24 hours, an expert be sent to the site to actually monitor the site for light and or noise violations and report back to the township. The point of the escrow being that if that does not occur within 24 hours, the township already possesses the funds to hire our own vendor to do so, to make sure that the project remains in compliance. Otherwise, the board can then, through the staff, choose to sanction the project as necessary.
And I'll add, in addition to that, if the complaints continue and they are in violation, then I would recommend it be considered again in front of this board to revoke that special waiver if there's multiple occurrences, but hopefully with the escrow and the testing that will avoid that situation and encourage them to work out the issues. In addition, just to for more of a point of clarification, your ordinance does provide warnings and then notifications of if we do get complaints. So it's already outlined in the ordinance. We don't need to add more conditions to that. We weren't sure about that before. Staff and I did some research since the last presentation from Children's Hospital, and it's pretty clear the procedures outlined if there are complaints. So we'll follow the ordinance. The escrow is there for protection for the residents and for the staff to jump on it if needed. Because obviously we don't want days and days of noise and someone complaining. The only other condition I just thought of was requirement to notify the assisted living facility. I don't know if they already have or not, but they should notify them of their schedule, or at least keep since that's where the testing is done, I believe, in your report. I don't know if the solicitor has any comments on that, but at least be proactive and notify them of their construction.
I think that's an excellent idea. Just
Yes.
keep them appraised of the work that's going on so they know.
So we don't get phone calls about people on the roof of the
Right.
building.
So I think
We should also have them notify the residents over at Remington Oaks. For building 1, 2, and 300. Because that is adjacent to this property. 200 is the
Or at least
building. that's
notify the
direct-
association there.
could we, they did do the testing over there. They did the testing at assisted living. So
The ordinance doesn't necessarily require any notice. It's even of the application for the special waiver. It is, if there's any complaint received, the township has the right under chapter 10, section 108 to start enforcement procedures if it's determined that the noise level is in excess of the prescribed levels. If you want the notice to be sent, that's certainly a condition that you can add to it. However, at the same time, the work will be pretty blatant and out in the open. You may not need to necessarily give advance notice because it's going to be happening whether the notice is given or not.
and maybe that's the best way to go instead of I wouldn't want to notify one entity and not another entity. So the ordinance does not require it, unlike other zoning ordinance requirements where you notify within 1,000 feet or 500. So maybe we shouldn't set precedent there. And there is complaint procedures, so we'll just do it that way and not
If there
notify
are
one entity.
Yeah, if there are no complaints. Then there wouldn't be an issue unless you as a township decide to send the staff for a test. Independently, just to make sure that they're compliant. But if there's no complaints about it and you're not testing it, then it's gonna go just fine. And if they complain, we'll have the protocol set up to make sure we keep them in compliance, regardless of whether those people that make the complaints got the notice in advance or not.
Could we proactively post it on our website so that if people are wondering what's going on, they would know that
Again,
work's being done? Similar to what we would do with like the water authority or whatever.
but it's not so disruptive.
That's private entity versus public entity.
Yes.
I would not do that.
I don't think notification is the right way to go. I think if there's a problem, people can call and complain. I don't think we should set it up so that they call and complain before there's a problem.
Notification could also set a bad precedent. Where do you draw the line of what projects that you're considering? Do you give people notice of versus not give people notice of?
North Wales water has not given me any notice, and I've endured days and weeks of thump, 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 thump. Yeah, so
Could we ask them just to notify the township and the police department when they start work? Just so that the township would know, oh, they started work, that's the noise complaints that they're getting.
They did have a plan for when they were gonna do that. I mean, we could certainly require that they at least let us know when they're going to be beginning the project. That should.
Condition of issuance of permit is to provide a construction schedule and any updates to the township office, and then we can notify, the police will be aware of it, but again, they're just asking for a waiver of the noise standards. That's all this is. But it is at night and they're all legit concerns. It's just that I think where Sean's was trying to set a precedent, treating other people differently, and it does outline all the procedures that they have to follow. We should have gone over that. They should have gone over all that and checked off the box saying no comply, and they didn't. I talked to staff and we realized it wasn't as big of a deal as before. I think everybody was more nervous about the nighttime hours.
Yeah.
As long as they're at a lower decibel, they're fine.
And as you recall from their their most recent presentation, they plan on doing the loudest of the work they're going to be doing as close to the dinner hour during daylight or near daylight as possible, and doing the actual application of the roof material later on at night when it would be quieter, because that act is quieter.
So besides the escrow requirement, provide a construction schedule to the township. And I believe everything else is covered in the ordinance.
We have motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
I,
We will add those conditions to the approval letter. Thank you.
Next, thing I have is information items. Michael, do you have anything to report?
So the only thing I wanted to report, I had made a post today on the township's website. On the 26th, we're having the new phones installed in the police department, admin and public works. A new voice over IP system, so we're gonna be finishing what I really consider a big, large project with the IT, the admin redesign, the IT consolidation, and going through these phone systems. Really upgrading how we function internally when it comes to our residents and accepting phone calls and things like that. So I just wanted to update the board. We posted just to let people know that we may have issues with phones, giving them information of where to go on our website to get staff emails if they can't get through on the phone. And if they can leave a message, leave one and we'll get back as soon as we can.
that won't have any effect on 911, will it?
Yeah.
Actually, it'll make it easier for us to transfer calls to county dispatch. People call directly to the food service.
Anything else, Michael?
I will leave the other updates for chief over there in his department.
Under departmental reports, you sent those all out to us, so.
Yes, they've all been submitted. And I forwarded the solicitors and engineer reports today. And they've all been uploaded to SharePoint and they are included in the meeting packet.
You don't have you down, chief? Do you have anything you wanna?
The only update would be that we are getting the installation of the new lockers will be this week. Will be starting on Wednesday and should be completed by Friday.
Okay.
So eventually we get opportunity for board members to see what we have done now.
We'll give you a week, make sure it's all.
Make sure everything's in and
When
working.
we schedule our tours. Board of Supervisors comments.
Just everybody come to the 4th of July parade since this is our last meeting beforehand. Park and Rec has been working with Christine to get everything organized and all gung ho. So everybody come and join out.
I'd just like to say thank you to our representatives and to county commissioners for issuing our citations or
Proclamation.
proclamations, celebrating our 300th committee has been working very diligently. We still have a lot of work to do, so if anyone's interested in volunteering, we'd be happy to hear from any resident.
I don't think I have anything tonight.
Okay. I will defer to another time, another night. Is there any public comment?
My name's Lynn Johnson. I live in Brittany Farms, 141 Brittany Drive. And I'm just gonna read my public comment that I have been circulated today, a few of my neighbors. Your neighbor and resident has come to my attention that the Chalfont New Britain Township Joint Sewage Authority, I refer to as CNB, a private entity but contracted public utility, has decided to make upgrades to their infrastructure. However, residents are completely responsible for the sewer pipes in their yards being disrupted. And residents were not alerted. Performance Pipeline Incorporated notification was not issued before phase 1 began. That is for me. I found one resident who did get a phase 1 report or notification the night before. The project was underway without owner's knowledge or approval, however. This trenchless technology was approved by the New Britain Township Board some time ago. According to CNV, the upgrade will substantially reduce I&I, that stands for inflow and infiltration by rainwater into the clay pipes below the roads, which in turn causes overtreatment of wastewater. EPI plans to insert a sleeve that could cause temporary odor into each clay pipe. They're going to insert a sleeve. You're not given the MSDS on the sleeve. Unfortunately, in order to insert the sleeves, PPI needs to access by drilling through the residents' old cast pipes. PPI already dug into my yard and glued PVC vacate, this is their invention, registered trademark, to the residents' cast pipe to build their clean out. They call it a clean out. Cast iron pipe in my yard is still intact. If you search LMK Technologies, you can click on products and then clean out for more information. Give you a diagram, and there's like a 12-page PDF. Sewage cleanouts are already installed closer to the homes and locations where they're best access for cleanout use. In my opinion, the secondary cleanout, this place closest to the road in my yard, it's mostly intended for sleeve access. Nobody knows, but we're all responsible for our pipes in our yard. I was told by the township last Friday by Shel Clancy, who got me on the phone about an hour, that I would have to come to this meeting, this board meeting, to find out who signed off from either Public Works or zoning on this project with the Shel New Britain Township Joint Sewage Authority. But as a parent, going around to my neighbors up and down the street, that it was never, nobody knew what was going on. Phase one is marking the grass with white, spraying it with white and staking where they want to dig. Unfortunately, I got the notification, the door hanger on my door, which basically is this. Within 24 hours of the project, at 7 p.m., the night before they started to dig at 12 p.m. the next day. That was a Thursday night. I came home, saw the door hanger. There's more door hangers. Now this project is very small. What I found out is I've been speaking with Mr. Heverly, Rich Heverly, at CNB, who's heading up the project with a Brandon Woodring from the PPI group. There's only been 24 houses done, 18 on Tower Hill Road, and 6 other homes on Barber Drive, up past the post office. That's a total of 24. Brittany Drive is the next group of houses they have decided to approach for their infrastructure project. My problem is, as a township resident and a taxpayer, shouldn't the board, somebody from the township have had a meeting? Because we own the pipe that they're literally gonna drill into. And it's a very old cast iron pipe. And I wanna meet Dave, who signed off. I still don't have an answer.
I mean, Sean, if you want to.
Well, hold on. There was so much like, I don't even know where to start on that, but, and the notification and all those requirements, I agree with you if that's what's happening with their contractor. That's an authority project. The township only approval was the pump station land development. DEP approves everything you mentioned. I'm not
Department of Environment.
Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. I don't even see what you're talking about. I'd love to, but it's the authority is I don't really, unless they want me to get involved, but the authority has all their you should continue to contact the authority. I just emailed, have you talked to John Schmidt yet, the director?
I have not, you won't be back till Thursday, but
Oh.
this is ongoing work, and I just don't want my.
Right, well, there's
Yes,
what? I was gonna get to all that. Just let me go through everything, right? Hold on. Because we'll be go all over the thing. So hold on. So everything's the authority. It's not this board. The only thing, when whoever's trying to tell you to talk to Dave, that was for the land development approval of the pump station only. This board did not sign off on the design,
Don't even know
location, or
about it.
anything. In fact, they're not even aware of.
The timing of the
What-
project.
That the public utility that contracts with the Newburgh Township, which would be.
Not the township, it's the authority. It's Shop New Britain Joint Sewage Authority is a separate
Regular
entity.
private entity.
No, they're not. They're, no, I believe they're public.
They're
You're in the wrong. This is the township only. That's the authority. They have their own public means, their own. The whole governmental process. But I emailed John today about something else. He usually responds immediately, so I guess he is on vacation because I didn't get an out of office reply, but. His engineers equivalent to me, they're monitoring that project, they're inspecting, I'm not involved, the
See,
township.
they don't own the pipe in our yard, we own it.
Okay, but then, then I'll get into that. Every place they're working is either in a public right of way. Or an easement they already own, or they had to go acquire certain easements. For the main, so anything on a lateral or service is private, they can't touch that unless. They can't come on your property unless you give them.
I
The
know,
go ahead.
nobody in our.
But your property, and typically what happens is you think your property goes to here, and it really only goes to here, and the pipe is in the shoulder and your, what looks like your front yard, but it's in the township right away or
Well,
public right away.
CNB, Rich Heverly said that we own everything up to the curb.
Yeah.
We
No,
own it.
You may own the pipe, but they're working in the right, so yeah, see, that's where,
That's what.
they're working in the right of way, but you own the lateral, the service.
Government responsibility as a public utility to notify people well in advance. of
I
the
can't
project.
comment on it because this entity does not, we did not, I don't even get involved.
Man,
on that.
as a public utility, they're a separate body politic from this board. They're separately incorporated. And they do not necessarily, they're not subservient to this board. They operate mostly independently.
Does Dave, is it Conroy or?
Yeah,
Conroy?
that's his own director of
that's
planning and
okay.
zoning.
A township employee.
Yeah, he works here, at the township.
He told Shelby, when I called up on Thursday, I was told by Shel Pansy, who talked to Dave, I would either have to come to talk to the township manager, which we don't have right now, right? We would have to see for the management position,
correct.
right?
Mhm.
So there's no manager, which would in turn be Mike Walsh, or I could come to this meeting.
'Cause-
Why would they come to this meeting if you folks aren't really here to protect me as a.
Well, that's the last part I was gonna say. They will protect you and I will as the township engineer. So just by you coming here, it's just like PennDOT working out here and people not being notified. It sounds like, 24-hour notification is not, if you notice at the very beginning, I said, I'm not gonna comment on how the process is because I don't agree if you're only given 24 hours notice or
You were
40.
given less than.
I mean, that's not fair. So as a township resident, if you want to make a complaint about that, this is the correct, in general, that, hey, there's a project run by the authority. And I feel we should have at least 48 hours notification or.
Themselves private, if you don't mind me asking. They call themselves private entity.
We can't, we're not responsible for what they tell you. I'm sorry, they are a separate entity. However, we do have an interim manager, that's Mr. Walsh. But we do not, in fact, what you're telling me today, and I think goes for everyone up here, is news to us. They didn't inform us that they're doing this. So.
And now that you-
they
now
have
that you-
permission to
But
do
they,
it.
I was gonna say, that's where I was going with.
Yeah.
If they're not working in the roadway, there's no process that they have
No.
to come before this township. And ask permission to do it. If they're in the road, we have a road opening permit and we know about the project. But because even though they may be touching your line, if they're working within the right of way or an easement, they're allowed to be there to maintain their system.
Mike, do you issue township, does the township issue the authority road opening permits?
No, that's what I mean. There were none applied for or done.
Do
I'm aware of.
you typically require that, though, I meant, for the
If
authority?
they were tearing up our road, yes.
Okay.
Are they
So,
tearing up the road?
is it the road yet?
No, they're tearing up my yard.
Yes, okay, well, there you go. So
They're on my yard, they're on my.
they're in the right of way.
So if
Yeah,
you,
there's
if
no
you
permit.
pull your deed out, what you got when you bought your house. You're gonna find at the second page at the bottom that it's gonna list a whole bunch of easements. An easement is a right to enter your property.
understand what it needs to be,
Okay.
but they do also have an obligation to notify people what they're doing.
Absolutely.
I agree with
Absolutely.
that. And that's the
But-
second part. I think, so, I mean,
So I would suggest that we have our interim manager call over there tomorrow,
I was supposed to have a meeting with Mr. Schmidt. on
or
Tuesday.
you,
He
whoever.
hasn't responded yet. I should,
Well, someone's
But I
gotta-
was told he's not gonna be in.
All week?
John Schmidt
yeah.
will not be available till Thursday.
Well, someone's gotta be over there answering the phone.
Rich have.
I have Rich have.
All right, have Michael reach out. I would, and Mike, if you need help, let me know and we'll look into that part of it. But I don't know why they're telling you they're private. I mean, they're a governmental authority, I think is what they are.
I mean, I'd be only guessing as to why they use that word. My best guess, and it's strictly a guess, would just be they were trying to tell you that they're a separate entity from this board by saying that they're private.
The contractors are private and you mentioned, you said PPI or
They're the
Yeah, it's
contractor.
the
that's,
contract.
They're a private
they're a
contract.
private entity. But not the
They
authority.
contract with the authority, not with the
So
township.
what the authority was saying, basically, is that, they basically were solicited. This is how the whole connection with, Pipeline. I don't
They
know,
were solicited.
Performance Pipeline Incorporated. They saw them at a trade show. Brandon Woodring from Pipeline told me, we solicited the authority.
Who's telling you all this?
Well, I did a lot of research. I called
I can tell, yeah.
Brandon Woodring, yeah, because I didn't have any time.
We have no connection with PPI or whoever this person is, so
Right,
whatever he's telling you,
They're private.
To really inform you, and I'm
Okay.
amazed and astonished that the township wouldn't know this project's going on.
I know, we know about the project, not what you
What
just,
they're doing is they're putting
Oh.
sleeve,
but we're not,
the clay
this entity
pipes.
doesn't get involved. The state approves that. I know of the project, they know of the project, but not
using
detail.
trenchless technology and a Vacati system.
There's no, that's an authority requirement. That's the state, again, it's a DEP. Has certain requirements for that entire design. There's no ordinance requirements, just this board only approved the overall project where all that sewer is going down to the pump station near your park, but the actual line itself, it's an entirely separate process from us.
So what they're using is what they claim, what Rich Heavily has claimed from authority is much more cost effective. Technology than digging up the whole street to replace all this now.
Do you have an issue with that? I guess
I don't think they've developed any need, okay?
developed any need?
Need, yeah, where's our cost-based analysis? I've never had a problem with my sewage line since I've moved in there. I've been there since 1990.
Again, that's a question for the authority.
Okay,
Yeah.
I pulled up all their minutes and things. So at a meeting in May 9th, they had Mr. Smith reported on a receipt from a quote from PPI to the line sewer main on Brittany Drive. The area was suspected of leakage for some time, and the Duke's report confirmed that this particular area has the worst I&I in the system. The PPI proposal is for this and includes lining over 3,000 linear feet of sewer line. So they moved and they were second to do that work on May 9th.
So that is separate
Not
from
here.
anything then that we're involved in at all. That's
Yes.
Those
completely
weren't meeting minutes of this board. They were
No,
meeting minutes of.
Shall They,
Explain to me,
this
What?
was the minutes from the Chalfont New Britain Joint Sewer Authority when they have their board meeting.
their
So
public meeting.
their public meeting, and it was on May 9th when they decided to do this work.
so what is their responsibility? I can find out from the legislator, you guys here. What is their responsibility to the homeowner?
I have no
I
idea.
don't know.
I think
This
that is
can't
a
type.
question
Yeah.
for the sewer authority and their solicitor and their regulations.
And
I
they're
don't know that that applies here, but you can come, as Dave said, you can come here and complain, and we will advocate over to the sewer authority for them to inform you in a more.
They haven't sold us on this technology. Nobody has any clue that they came in. This was a surprise to every
Well,
single resident.
That. I'm trying to work with you and
Yeah.
like, I agree with Mike said, but you're looking at that, you won't have any say in that. That's what their professionals will recommend and the state will approve. So their engineer will recommend something. Their directors and their board will approve it. The state will approve it. You won't have a say as a resident in that part of it.
Rich couldn't answer the question. I said, hey, if I buy the home serve product, which is supposedly something like an insurance plan for that sewage system that goes all the way to the utilities, which ends at the street. But my pipe's been disrupted in front of that, then what? He had no answer because he's not the end user, you see. I'm the end user.
Okay, but
I'm the owner.
based on what the minutes were just read, they have I problems.
It's influx and infiltration of
I
rainwater
know.
through the pipe.
Yes, I'm aware of it. It's, but you won't have a say in that. What you described, that's up to the authority to decide. We can't help you with that. I think that this township or the board can help you with notification. If you feel that we get a lot of encroachments, hey, they're 10, 20 feet off my property line. They say it's here, I say it's here. Mike and I will get that call. We'll help you with that part of it, but
Can you help me know what my rights are as a citizen
mm,
and owner of that land, even if it's eminent domain?
I can't give you
Now you
legal
know.
advice in that regard.
No.
That's not what this board is here to do. And it's not something that I'm able to do as the board solicitor. If you're seeking legal advice regarding your personal property, you need to talk to a lawyer.
I would
So-
suggest that, yes.
What could be our scope to help in this situation? We've had a resident come to us. What could
Mike
we
is
do?
gonna call over there.
That's the
and-
best we can do right now is, and we have a meeting on Tuesday. I know it's too late, but Mike can reach out tomorrow. John's not here. Mike can get their version of, there's always two sides of the story. I'm not saying you're incorrect. I'm just saying, let's see what they have to say. And then Mike can discuss it with myself and then update the board.
The board can advocate for
You know,
for an
I mean-
appropriate period of notice for any.
That's-
I would, that's what I was gonna say,
I
yes.
think that's the avenue we have, which is not going to help your situation at this moment in
What
time,
what
but
I'm afraid of is they're gonna drill through, they're gonna disrupt that pipe. That nothing's gonna stop the ball from rolling downhill
Well,
at this point.
so
then I recommend you follow what the
Mr.
solicitor
Grant
said.
just said, which is you'd have to consult with your own attorney. If they're gonna damage something that's your personal property, it's that situation would be between you and the authority. It would not bring this board in the middle of
There's no permit that we issued that we could revoke
it.
to stop the work.
We don't have, the legal version of the answer is we don't have the jurisdiction to help you with the problem that you're having. Nothing that this board can do or vote on can stop them from doing what they're doing because we didn't tell them to do it in the first place.
And the Public Utilities Commission, which I've already called,
Mm.
do not also have authority because they only handle really big, huge, like,
Right.
PP&L.
And they've most likely already approved the use of that technology for use in Pennsylvania and it's not something that we're involved in either.
No, it's from like, I don't know, something. It's from a whole different thing. It's out of state. Rich tried to call a local person and they didn't get back to him, but they have an obligation, we've been paying them their bills for over 32 years. And we should have been notified, I would think, by law, of this project, even if we had no choice in the matter. They should have notified us.
Matt, can I ask you, are they charging you for the work?
No, but I own the pipe that they're,
No, I'm not
no, they're not.
splitting hairs with you. I was just a question.
We just went through 3 years of aqua in our development, 3 years off and on of craziness. And then all of a sudden, somebody was digging my yard, it was aqua, and they were marking the street, and I'm like, what are you digging for? You guys have done all your work here, you're damaging more grass. And he said, oh, we're marking the streets because of the on-call system. I said, but they already marked my grass over here with the white stake and the white line for the digging. So you're coming in after the fact. So I think a lot of the residents, at least on Brittany Drive, might feel a little just shocked. Because it's like, wait, they were digging in up our streets and doing work for 3 years and now they are digging our yard up and we don't even know what's happening.
If I can say this, the utilities have to maintain their pipeline. They are required, they have requirements from DEP if there's too much overflow that's being untreated and discharged into the creeks, they get fined. So,
This is sewage, not runoff. This is sewage. I don't think they go to the same place.
well, if the water is infiltrating the sewage pipes, that's more water that's going into the sewer treatment plant. So they know there's a leak in this area. That's why they're doing work there. We can't make them do the work and we can't stop them from doing the work. Just like we had nothing to do with the pipeline they're putting up Park and is going down Ferry. We didn't ask them to do that and we can't stop them from doing it. If you want to go to call DEP, I would suggest you call the sewer authority. We don't have anything to do with it. And we can't do anything about it except call them and say, we understand you're not giving notice to the residents and we want you to give them at least 48 hours notice.
Another thing in their notification says, residents may experience odors if your plumbing is not properly trapped, vented, or drain traps are not filled with water. Okay, we recommend that you pour water down all your drains to ensure there are no dry traps, and open up your windows will allow odors to dissipate. My concern is that, I have an elderly neighbor who's on oxygen who I don't necessarily have the sense of smell anymore that I might not notice an odor coming back up my pipe. And this odor comes from the sleeve that they're putting out in the road.
I think the odor they're talking about is a sewage odor. I don't think it's harmful. Again, ma'am, there's nothing we can do for you here except call, and we're going to do that. Call the sewer authority tomorrow and talk to them about their notification process.
Ma'am, the next public meeting of the Shelf on New Britain Township Sewer Authority is on July the 11th. Yes. They were supposed to have one on June 27th, but that meeting's been canceled. The next scheduled meeting is July the 11th.
Can you tell me, somebody up there mentioned when a May date, didn't you, Cynthia?
Yes,
What was that May date?
on their website, they have all their meetings and minutes. And that was,
Oh, the Joint Sewage Authority?
yeah, yeah. And you can go back and start at the May 9th. That was the last one they had minutes for, where they approved it. But if you go backwards, you can see where they start discussing it.
That would explain why Shell Clancy could not bring up any projects on our computer or any.
Not our project.
We have no knowledge of it.
Yeah, because honestly, originally I thought it was the land development. We're not involved, this project, we're not involved at all. There's other projects they have going on as well.
I'm just assuming as a taxpayer and a resident that every public utility has to be approved by somebody I pay taxes to. And this
No.
doesn't seem to be the case.
No.
Other public
No,
utilities.
that's why the Public Utility Commission is statewide.
Yeah.
And that's why each authority has their own authority. You call Aqua if you had a problem with what they were doing. You call the CMBC.
That's just.
You're not gonna get you're not really gonna get much input from them. If you don't agree with the methodology that they're doing, which it sounds like you have an issue, maybe.
My concern is, I mean.
But they're gonna say they have the right to do it. I'll know that answer. They wouldn't, because they've already approved the project, so they need a permit from the state to do what they're doing. They have an ongoing yearly update to the state. We don't even see that. I think maybe get a copy of it, but they have to update because it's a public utility and also with the sewer.
The whole
wastewater.
point of calling something a public utility in Pennsylvania is to remove it from the jurisdiction of a board like this and put it under the jurisdiction of the Public Utilities Commission. That's why this board doesn't have any authority over it.
Okay, well, I really appreciate you explaining that. It just makes me feel a little bit less
I would-
powerful in the situation where I, like you said, there's an access problem and eminent domain here, and there's an interest I have in my property.
Mhm.
I'd like to let sleeping dog lie with an old cast iron pipe. So, and it seems to have crept up really quick in the coffers of the Shell Fund Authority, where this project is just beginning.
They have been moving, it sounds like they have been moving around their service area.
The problem
We're
is,
the next guinea pigs. There's only been 20 we're done.
Yeah.
We're the next ones, and it's divide and conquer, because we're really just, they're going one resident at a time to try to reduce that I. They're not supplying us any data.
Ma'am, I think what our engineer has told you is that this had to go through the Department of Environmental Protection. They had to meet all of their regulations, and once they are approved to get the permit, That's it. If you suffer an injury of some sort, Mr. Gresh has told you, you can seek private counsel to redress that injury, but there's nothing we can do for you.
Or prior notification, correct, Mr. Rath? I mean, that's.
Well, we,
prior
we,
notification.
The question of whether you're, even if you're legally or by regulation entitled to notification, doesn't mean that there's any redress to that action other than an apology. Even if there were, that apology wouldn't come from this board, it would come from the sewer authority. We just simply do not have the legal power to assist you the way you'd like us to do. The most that we can do, and I'm sure Mr. Walsh is going to do it, is to contact them and say, hey, we had a very, and properly so, upset resident at our meeting last night, telling us that they got 24 hours or less notice before you came to dig on their property. What's going on? That's the most that this body can do. And the most that we can do after that, once he gets an answer, is repeat the answer they give to Mr. Walsh in our next public meeting. That's all that we can do to help you. And that's just because we don't have the legal jurisdiction to do anything more.
Wish we'd help you more at this point, but we'll keep you informed.
You know it, now you know, if you live in Shep, fine, what they're up to.
Okay. Thank
So,
you.
I mean, it's not a clean out, it's an access panel, and they couldn't get to that sleeve in the road if they didn't open up our yard. And they don't open up our pipe. So,
Thank you very much.
thank
Good-
you very
good luck.
much for hearing my,
thank you.
sorry. And thank you in advance for calling,
As soon as I have an answer.
I would like to know.
You have an email or something I can get back to you, I will certainly.
Why don't you talk after the meeting?
I will.
Thank you.
I would like a contact of, and somebody signed a permit, somebody agreed to this. And I don't have anybody.
But that, again, I would direct you to ask them for their permit number and talk to the sewer company. We don't have
The
that.
sewer authority
Yeah.
for their permit number.
Yeah, you could apply
And
for.
for the, approval.
Yes. Is
Okay, thank you.
there any other public comment? Okay, under announcements, next meeting of the Board of Supervisors will take place on Monday, July 17th, 7 p.m. in New Britain Township Building. The agenda and meeting materials are posted on the website and they should be available within 48 hours. Is there anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you for coming. We'll see what we can do for you.
Thank you.
Oh, I had it on update.
Well, I don't know how.